become stuck in existential absurdity. Existential absurdity. What do you mean? Existential, exo, my issue, what, your need, existential absurdity, which means you get stuck between if and when, or you get stuck between what to do and what not to do. That's why you should come to Life Changers Church. I tell people all the time, come see us, because we're not here to beat you up. We're here to pick you up. We're here to pick you up. Oh my goodness. You know what? It was Dr. King who said, never tell them what you are against, but always preach what you are for. He says, too many of us are telling people what we against, but don't nobody know what we truly for. The older people, my more mature saints, says, you can catch more flies with honey than vinegar. I used to always wonder that. I was like, why would they say that? Until you truly need to catch some flies. Have you ever been around flies? And you'd be like, because it almost seems like you can never catch a fly. You think you hit a fly, and you done missed that whole fly. But you put a little honey on a little teaspoon and set it down. See, Jesus is that honey. Oh my goodness. See, Jesus, that's, the singer says he's sweeter than a honey on a honeycomb. See, Jesus is that honey, because what you do is you set that honey and then you leave it there. Because at the end of the day, instead of you having to present to them, they're going to flock to it. Oh my God. My job, I'm going to say something that's going to wreck your life today. Here's the problem. Your job and my job isn't to convert people. Okay, let me help you. My job isn't to convert you. The Bible says compel them to come. All I can do is compel you to come and hear the word for yourself. At the end of the day, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. It is up to them. Oh my goodness. My job, and that's why I don't get mad when I tell people about Jesus Christ and they be like, I don't want nothing to do with it. The Bible says Jesus told the disciples, if they don't receive you in the town, shake the dust off yourself and keep it pushing. Your job ain't to try to convert everybody at your job. Your job is to live a life in front of them. Because you might be the only Jesus that they see. Woo! Some of us are getting frustrated at work and dealing with family because your family ain't coming to Christ. Your job ain't to make them believe in Christ. Your job is to live a Christian life in front of them so they can make their own decision. Ooh. Ooh, Jesus. That just blessed somebody. So now you can stop worrying about your family. Pray for them and move on. Live a righteous life and move on. Ooh. Jesus. But then it gets good. It gets good. He's on the mountain. And then Matthew 8:2. Follow me. Matthew 8:2. Matthew 8:2. It says, a man with leprosy came and approached him. I want to stop right there real quick. A man with leprosy came and approached him. Okay. Let me give you a little bit about a Bible history, okay? According to Leviticus back in chapter 13, if you had leprosy, you wasn't permitted to come within a certain mile of feet of people who wasn't sick. Are you understanding me? If you had leprosy, You were considered an outcast. You were considered unclean, and they outcast you. You were put outside the city. Oh my goodness. You were put outside the city. If you were considered that you had leprosy, okay, don't believe me? Okay. You don't believe me? Not a problem. Let's go there, because I see I got theologians in the room. So let's go to the word. Let's go to the word. Leviticus. Let's go to Leviticus 13, 43 and 44. Leviticus 13, 43 and 44. And it reads this way. It says, the priest is to examine him, and if the swollen sore on his head or forehead is reddish white like a defiling skin disease, the man is diseased and is unclean. The priest should pronounce him unclean because of the sores on his head. Let me break that down. Let me break that down. So the priest would look at you and examine your issues. He would look at you. He would stand back and he would examine your outer appearance. And then he would then deem you and proclaim that you were unclean. He would do this publicly. Oh my God. Once you were unclean, you were castrated and put outside the city. I'm going to say, oh my God, okay, Chris, just do it. That's fine. All right. The church is still doing this today. We are putting labels on people because we, as priests, are sitting back and examining people and looking at their outer appearance. Oh, God. Okay, I told you I'm going to make you mad. It's fine. Don't cancel me just yet. What the priest would do was sit back and examine the outside of an individual, not knowing the heart of the person, not knowing what's going on internally with the person. They would examine the outside and then deem them unclean. We deal with this today. Okay, all right, let's deal with it, shall we? I thought about if I was going to say this or not. I told Pastor Kim, I might not need to say this, but I need to say it. What happens when the church is only looking at the outside of people and not understanding what people are truly going through in the inside? Because here's what the church is doing. We acting just like, first century Palestine. We sit back, and just because we can see your outer sin, we'll deem you unclean. But then if you can hide your sin, you good to go. You don't believe me? So we'll sit the young lady down that got pregnant, but we won't sit the musician down that got her pregnant because hers. Okay, do y'all want to deal with this morning? Are we gonna talk about it this morning? Because if you can hide the issue, then you, oh my goodness, because there are certain things that the church don't want to put their hands on. We deem you unclean. Okay, just because you blew up one time. This is how church put labels. We're going to deal with some labels real quick. Is that all right? You blow up one time, and you might have got angry one time, and as you blow up, and then people are now looking at you off of that one instance, and then they want to label you crazy. Oh, they crazy. You should have been there when they blew up. You ain't have no history of it at all, but they were there that one moment that you said something that might not have been holy. That you said something off kilter one time, and now they call you crazy. They label you crazy. Okay, not a problem. I hear you. So you've been through, a bad relationship and people don't get you. They don't know your whole story. So, because here's the problem. What happens with, especially the church, I'm telling you, what happens in the church is what they do is they look at small snapshots of your life and determine your whole entire existence off the snapshot. The problem with people is that they can't remember, or they only remember what they want to remember about your life. Okay. So let's just say hypothetically, let's deal with this. Hypothetically, you maybe went through a few bad relationships and people don't know your whole story, and just because they see your highlights and just because you had some bad relationships and it didn't go right, now they want to label you as damaged. Now you're damaged because nothing works with her and nothing works with him. It's every time they get in a relationship, it don't work out. Something wrong with them. They damaged. I know I'm talking good. I know because, you might not want to say nothing because you might be the people that's putting these labels on people. But here's the problem. I'm trying to get you to understand that everybody's walking around with some type of label. Okay, not a problem. Let's say you start a job and, you started a business and at first it was popping, but then it didn't go like you thought it was going to go. Or let's just say you started school for my school people in the house and you got to class and it was going real good. Classes got a little hard and then your time started to get a little away from you and then you had to walk away from the business or you had to walk away from your class and now people are looking at you like, ooh, they don't never finish nothing, and then they want to label you a failure. Labels. They put labels on you. Oh, this is a good one here. This is a good one here because I think somebody knows somebody like this at all times. Okay, let's say, you might not have had, you might have had kids before you got married. You found somebody that you thought loved you and you loved them, and so y'all got together. Now y'all had more kids together, and then at the end of the day, it didn't work out, and so now they looking at you and you looking at them, and they now calling you dysfunctional. Now you dysfunctional. It's a label. I'm not talking about the world. I'm talking about the church. They label you as something when they don't know the entire truth. They don't know that you pray at night, that you give God your heart, and then just because you done made a couple of mistakes. Okay, let's say, back when you were young, right? You were young and, you may be 18, 19, and you might have been hanging with the wrong crew, and so maybe you took something you shouldn't have took, or you was in the car with somebody you shouldn't have been in, or you were smoking something that you shouldn't have been smoking at that time, and then you get caught up with the law, and then they put a label on you entitled felon. Not understanding that you were young. Young people do stupid things. Have you ever been there? Have you been there? Let me tell you the difference. Oh my goodness. For us who got a little bit of age on us, here's the difference between them and us. The only difference between them and us is that they got caught and we didn't. We did the same thing. Oh my God. See, we did the same thing that they were doing. We were out there. We were fast just like them. We were in the club just like them. We were smoking and drinking just like them. At the end of the day, they got caught and we didn't. And so what we do is we want to wash all that away off of our past. But they are labeled. And so we have the nerve to stick our nose up. Well, what does this have to do with making a difference? What I'm telling you is, with all of these labels, you still can make a difference. It doesn't matter what the church label you. It don't matter what this world label you. You still have the propensity to make a difference. So you got caught where you shouldn't have been. Okay, understood. But don't you let the enemy, oh my goodness, I'm preaching better than you're listening this morning. Because somebody needs to hear this morning. Are you with me? Because what the enemy does is, there's a thing called condemnation. And so, yes, Should you not have been there? No, you shouldn't have been there. But that thing called grace, that's why we need the grace. Because if we truly gonna make a difference, we're gonna have to live a level, we're gonna have to have a level of grace for people. I had a teacher growing up in high school, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't like her at all. She was my English teacher, and I had her my freshman year, and then I had her my junior year. And you know, when I first got to high school, nobody want this woman in class because she was hard, right? And she didn't pull no punches, and she just said, told you like it was, and I did not want her class at all. I said, Lord Jesus, do not give me this woman's English class. And lo and behold, I got my, my schedule, and it was class number 1. The one teacher I didn't want. And she made it hard. I mean, she made it hard. Because, again, you couldn't give her no excuse. She challenged you. When I say it's due on this day. There ain't no extra credit. And so I would put everything on the back burner to make sure I got her class right. Well, I barely passed her class, a 70 point something. And I was like, praise the Lord. I wasn't trying to get a B nor an A. Long as I got that C, I went to my mama proud. I like, hey, that C's gonna be good enough. Well, then I'm thinking I'm done with her. Well, I go through sophomore year and get to my junior year. And I look at my schedule, class number 1. She's my English teacher for my junior year. So I'm like, yo, they done messed up on this. Like, she teach freshmen. Like, no. That was I went to the principal's office. Day number 1 at the school. I was that kid in line waiting to get my schedule changed. Something wrong. Well, I get there, and the principal says, well, no. Or the counselor, actually, it was my counselor. She's like, no. Well, she's changed. She's no longer teaching freshmen. She teaches juniors. And I'm trying to tell you, I threw a fit, man. I was like, I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. Change my class right now. And they were like, well, we ain't got nowhere else to put you. All the other classes are full. The reason she came to teach juniors because we needed more junior teachers. We ain't got nowhere else to put you, so you're going to stay right there. So my junior year in this lady's class is when I first had an opportunity to truly talk to her because, pray for your pastor. I was a class clown, right? I was that guy that was always talking and getting people in trouble and all that kind of stuff, right? That was just me. I learned that from my brother, by the way. But we were in class one day, and she says this. She says, after the bell rung, she says, Mr. McAllister, don't move. And I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm in trouble, and I ain't even did. You know how when somebody call you out, you be like, what did I do? You be lying. That high pitch was, what did I even? She said, stay right there. And she came and she sat beside me. And she says, Mr. McAllister, she's like, you're very gifted because people naturally listen to you. She says, people naturally listen. Here's the reason why you can be a class clown, because whatever you say, they're going to listen to. You make people laugh, you do all this kind of stuff. She was like, you have a natural gift. That is a gift. She said, from God. That's a gift from God. She was like, but what I don't want is for them to put a label on you. She's like, you're very smart, you're very intelligent. I don't want them to put a label. She says, because you'll be fighting against a label the rest of your life. So if they label you a class clown now, that's going to live with you for the rest of your life. And nobody's going to ever take you seriously because, oh, that's just Chris. He was a class clown. The label of something. A lot of us are walking through our lives with labels hooked to us. Oh, my goodness. Ooh. This brother had leprosy. You could see his sickness. I got sick a couple of months ago, and probably a little bit over about a year ago now. The problem with getting sick was the fact that internally, you couldn't see my sickness. But you had to be a part of the hospital to understand the process of seeing inside me to see what was going on. I didn't look sick. There was nothing on the outside of my body that said sickness. But it wasn't until they started looking in the inside where they said that there's something that's wrong in the inside. And if you don't deal with what's going on in the inside, it will then turn into you looking bad on the outside. And that became an issue. The church doesn't want to deal with people's insides. We only want to deal with people's outsides. Matthew 8:2. We'll get out of here because I know I ain't going to finish this today. Matthew 8:2. Again, it said, a man with leprosy came and approached him. It says, and then he knelt before him and said, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Now, what's the shout about that, PC? I'm happy that you add, because I was going to tear the church up with the make me clean portion. I really was. I was going. But again, God's been working with me a little bit differently here lately. Because I was going to say, that God was going to make you clean and all that good stuff. But what ended up happening, a story came to mind about my son. When my son was little, Pastor Kim one day was leaving with the girls, and she left me with my son Tyrese. Now Tyrese is probably maybe 2 years old at this point, and he's running around in diapers and all that good stuff. And he was asleep. He was asleep when she left, and she asked me, she's like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "I'm great. I'm good. I got him. Trying to be Mr. Big Dad, right? I said, "I got it. Go ahead and do what you got to do with the girls." I'm thinking that he gonna be asleep until she get back, and I'm good anyway, right? Well, the minute that she closed the door, I turn around, and there goes my son looking at me. There he go. And so my son had a bunch of energy, so he's running around the place. And so what I'm doing, I'm just feeding him stuff. I'm feeding him everything. I'm feeding him candy. I'm feeding him everything he needs. But the problem with that is, if it goes in, it's going to have to come out at some point, right? And so, I'm sitting there, I'm playing PlayStation, right? And then he runs across my path, and I smell something. And I'm like, oh, Lord. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, Lord. So I go to him. So I go to him, and literally I lift his shirt up and his pamper, and from my mother's in the house, like it was all up his back. So, as a good father, I had a choice to make, right? Either I was going to clean him up, or I was going to act like nothing happened until my wife got there. So what I did was, any good father would do. I did what any good father would do. I let my wife deal with it. So what I did was, I put that onesie right back on him and put them pants, and I put him some jeans on. right? And I gave him a bottle, and I just let him go on by this business. I said, I said, yeah, that's a grown man. Listen, I ain't gonna deal with that. Like, absolutely not. And so I said, I threw my hands up. I'm like, absolutely not. I'll wait. And so Pastor Kim comes home, and you know, this is what a real good father does. Pastor Kim come home, and the minute that she come home, then I act surprised. I'm like, ooh, what's that smell? You know, I said, he might have, she remember what I'm talking about now. I said, ooh, what's that smell? I said, he might have used the restroom on himself, right? And I said, it must have just happened. Here's the point of this whole story. She gets to him, and she says, this couldn't have just happened. Because if it just happened, I could have cleaned him easily. But it's been there for a while. So I'm having to deep clean his back. Some of us are dealing with something like that. See, we need God to come in and do a deep cleaning because it's been sitting there for quite a long time. Had we went to him a little bit earlier, it could have been a little bit easier. I ain't talking about the new issues you're dealing with. I'm talking about the old issues that's been in your life, and you need God to come in and do a deep clean in your life, that you need him to reach way down from where it started from and clean that up, and then clean up everything that came with it. Woo! A deep clean. This man dealing with leprosy needed a deep clean. I could just imagine that this person is sitting there. Again, this is my movie. I told you I love movies, right? I could just imagine this man with leprosy, and he's sitting there with other people who have leprosy, and he sees Jesus coming down from the mountaintop, and there are people that's going to Jesus, and he's wondering, like, why is, you got people who are murderers, who are liars, that are going up to Jesus and asking questions and getting healed. And I could just imagine him sitting there like, why can't I talk to him? Why can't I talk to him? And for me, like, I get to thinking, I could just imagine that he started walking before he knew it. When you start asking yourself questions and you looking around, you be like, I can't believe she get to go up and talk to Jesus. I know what she's been doing all her life. Why does she get to touch the hem of his garment? Why is she getting to deal with what's going on in her life? Why is he getting to go? I know that he probably almost killed somebody. Why did he get to see Jesus? And I'm sitting here outside the gate, and all I got is leprosy, and I could just imagine why he talking. He began to make a step. He's like, why can't I talk to Jesus? Why can't I get close to him? Just because they got a label on me? Just because I got leprosy and don't nobody else want to deal with me? Jesus ain't like nobody else. He's healing everybody else's issues. Come on. Why can't he heal my issues? I know that, it's easy to heal with, try to deliver somebody from lying, and I know I got this internal issue that I'm dealing with, but why can't he heal them and not heal me? And I could just imagine the other people who have leprosy saying, look at this man, look at Chris. Why is he walking up there? Man, he must have a death wish. But I could just imagine in this person's mind, he says, I'm gonna die anyway. Why not try to be healed? See, some of us haven't made it to the point where you've gotten to the thought process of, it's either get to Jesus or die trying. See, at some point, you're going to have to make the decision where you ain't going to worry about who's going to say what about you. You ain't got to worry about what label they're going to put on you. As long as I can get to the master, as long as I can get to Jesus, I could care less about what people going to say about me. I could care less of how they going to lie on me, and I might got an issue. You know what? Some of the stuff they ain't lying about. They actually telling the truth, but regardless of the fact, I'm still going to try to get to Jesus. Woo. So I came to preach to people that want to make a difference, but you're dealing with some labels. I said all that to say this, is don't allow the enemy to weigh you down with your label. Don't let the enemy weigh you down with your label. We all carrying them. We all done made some mistakes. We all done said some stuff that we shouldn't have said. We all done been somewhere we shouldn't have been. We all have done it. Here's the reason why I don't judge people. I don't judge people. Why? Because I don't know your full story. I know your right now. And also, I don't know where you're heading either. Did that bless your life this morning? Stand to your feet. God is a God of breaking labels. With me trying to make a difference, a lot of us don't want to make a difference because of our label. Because we're too ashamed. We're too ashamed of the label that's on us. I've been there. I've been there. Where I didn't allow God to do what he needed to do because I was ashamed of the label that was placed on my life. You know, as a pastor kid, you know, the label is pastor kids are the worst kids. That wasn't too far from the truth in my case. I got into everything, did a little bit of everything, said a little bit of everything. And at the end of the day, I had to get to a point where I understood that Jesus was bigger than my label.